Most people actually swing a sword without sword fighting in the first place. And that difference actually what gets them hit. If you've ever trained longsword and you feel that your attacks don't mean anything, then this video is for you. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Michael Kozin and I have over 2 years of experience with HEMA and longsword because I went through this shit on my own. I also have tournament experience, so I know how hard it is to actually train this kind of art. But I also know how actually hard it is to start it from the very beginning, because you don't know shit, right? And that's why I create these videos for you. You can also access my free community, Start Swordfighting, in the description, where I give you a free structure that you could just go through. It's kind of a guide step by step for anyone who joins inside this community. So go and check out the link in the description. So what swinging actually means? It's movement without intention. So the big cuts of just swinging is doing big arcs and not hitting anything. It also means that when you swing, you're trying to hit the opponent's sword instead of him directly. A common sign is also that you're attacking from too far. So you're keeping yourself way too safe. Or on the other end of the spectrum is that you're staying too stiff on your footwork without even moving, and you're just swinging your sword. And it also means that you're just pulling your strikes way too closer to you than just extending your arms fully. Swinging looks impressive, but it achieves nothing in sword fight. It also feels active, but it gives you no control over the fight and over your opponent. You don't create real pressure. But what fighting with a sword actually means? It means that each action that you do has its consequences. Each action creates an opportunity for you, but also for your opponent to maybe hit them, or maybe to parry, or turn their defense into offense. Each of your action has a reaction in sword fighting. That's what it means to fight with a sword. And of course, not every action has to be big and dramatic, like swinging a sword with full force. No, they could be small scouting action that actually give away information about your opponent before you actually commit to an attack, right? So it's moving with your footwork forward and pressuring your opponent, but also feeling the pressure back because you're decreasing the distance. It's about reading your opponent's intention when you're fighting, and of course reacting accordingly, or using his own hesitation against himself and just attack straight directly at him. But this also means that you're always ready for a defense after your own offense. So when you attack, whoa, it's slippery. When you attack, you also know that you have to defend right after, because your opponent may use your offense against you. Fighting is not about throwing cuts, it's about forcing a reaction. And of course, your opponent is doing the same thing against you. All of his actions are against you, and your actions are against him. But that's the thing. Who is more swift and who is more better at reading your opponent to actually use the other side against him? So there is key difference between swinging a sword and fighting with a sword. The first key difference is intent. When you're swinging a sword, you think that you just want to hit him. But when you're fighting with a sword, you're pressuring your opponent for some kind of reaction. So you're making them to deal with your attack. Intent creates hesitation in your opponent. Even simple cuts can be dangerous if they were made with intent in mind. The second key difference is footwork. When you're just swinging a sword, you're staying static on your footwork. But when you're fighting with a sword and you're attacking for real, you're also moving yourself towards the threat. You're decreasing the distance to your opponent to actually make him deal with your blade. So attacking without moving is creating doubles. It doesn't threaten your opponent and it creates no pressure on your opponent. You don't with this kind of motion, you're not threatening your opponent. Even if you extend your arms fully, it's also better to move towards your opponent when you attack. The simple rule to follow is that if your feet aren't involved, then you're not fighting. And the third key difference between swinging and fighting with a sword is recovery. So when you're just swinging a sword, when you end your cut, it's the end of your action, right? But when you're fighting with a sword, you're not ending your actions with just a cut. You're also always prepared to renew some kind of action, maybe to renew your own attack, or always be ready to recover your sword and defend yourself from your opponent with a parry, riposte, or some kind of other counter. So your actions, your attacks don't end on you swinging just a sword. No, they continue and move on. I also want to tackle why gamers get stuck in this stage. So swinging with a sword inside a video game or inputting some kind of attack always has the same animations, right? It has the same frames per second of the actual attack, right? But in sword fighting, all of it overlaps into each other. There is no strict frames for each of the attacks because each action is always nuanced, right? It's not about when you press a button and the action ends. No, each of these smallest movement, each of these smallest actions overlap with each other. They don't end. There is no such thing as my turn, then your turn. How to actually start fighting? I will give you specific action steps that you can follow right now. So, first of all, when you cut, always try to remember to add on a step also, so footwork to your equation. Also, if you can't land these cuts properly, then you should think about slowing them down. Yes, you have to slow down your strikes if you can't land them, because probably you lack the proper structure. Second thing to follow is once you attack, you recover your sword, to expect some kind of counter right after. The next thing to follow is that you have to ask yourself after each exchange, did I force anything? If you didn't, you were probably not involved in fighting. You were just swinging a sword. So my advice for beginners, if you're getting hit, it doesn't mean that you're bad. It means that you're going through something tough right now. So you're learning to fight, not to just perform with a sword. Everyone goes through this phase, even I did, because that's where we actually learn how to sword fight, not to just swing a sword and look cool in the eyes of normies. If this video clicked something inside of you, then imagine what structure guidance could do for you. This is why I create these videos. I want to just help you out. But also, there is my private community, which is also free, named START SWORDFIGHTING. They are guys who started their own sword fighting journey without any experience and without any knowledge whatsoever, because I give them the actually beginner-friendly structure for them to follow from the beginning to the intermediate level. You don't have to train sword fighting alone. That's why I'm here. Like, I'm doing these videos for you, right? I want you to learn this kind of thing because I love it. I truly love doing this art and to just share my own knowledge to you. So that's why I created a mini guide that you can follow inside of this community, which is, of course, totally free. You don't have to pay for anything. So just go there, join this, and see it for yourself. Also, this is where you can actually talk with me one-to-one, right? Through DMs or through just posting your own feedback, knowledge, or your own story about your sword fighting practice. Yeah, so check out the link in the description. And remember, always take the initiative.